Welcome back to another episode, a new season, in a new year. Welcome to 2025, guys. Joining me today is Brad, Frank, and Iakona. This is Paranormal Patrol's second season of investigations. This time, we are going to be talking about Sallie House. Brad, Taylor, who was a guest investigator, Frank, and I took a little trip out to Sallie House in Atchison, Kansas. We had some interesting visitors, human and spiritual alike. So, welcome and thank you again for supporting us all of last year through our ups and downs, our chaos, our technology malfunctions. And even today, I spilled an entire glass of tequila on the floor. So, um, and welcome to our new studio. So we're finally almost settled, but not really. And we spent an hour setting up today because I am just really winging it. So I think Frank's going to share a little bit of history of Sallie House for us, and then we'll tell you about our experience.
So Sallie House was built around the 1800s, mid 1800s, for Michael and Kate Finney. They immigrated over from Ireland. Now, the world-renowned doctor who was alleged to have operated on Sallie was the son of Michael and Kate Finney, and his name was Charles Finney. He is the one that rumored to have operated on Sallie. The rumor goes is that he performed an operation inside his house on this little girl, operated on her appendix, and she ended up passing away. And
Now, isn't the story that like her mom rushed her to the house
Yeah.
in the middle of the night
Yeah, it
when
sure
nothing
is.
else was open?
yes,
The story says that his office was in the house, so she took him to his house.
and we're not saying that that didn't happen, but we have been unable to find any collaborating evidence that that happened. No newspaper articles talking about a little girl named Sallie or any operation inside the house where someone had passed away. Now, we do know that in the history of the home, several members of the Finney family have died of natural causes. There are at least 3, possibly 4 natural deaths that occurred of the Finney family inside of that home. So the home does have a history of death. And as you know, anytime death is involved, there is a chance that spiritual activity could linger around. So anyway, the home, owned by the Finney family for through generations, ends up being uh, lived in by the Pickman family in the 1990s, and it was the husband that started to come under attack from a spirit. He saw the spirit as an apparition form, and the spirit was in the form of a little girl, which is part of the reason why this has been associated with Sallie. Now, the attack on the husband grew from just sightings and noises to actual attacks where he was scratched by the spirit inside the home. The rumor is that the spirit inside the house does not actually like men, which is one of the reasons why Mr. Pickman was attacked by the spirit. They did live in the house for a couple of years before him and his family moved out. They just could not take the hauntings anymore. And according to them, it went from scratchings to objects moving to even curtains catching on fire at one point. If you look up the history on Sallie House, you're going to find a lot of different stories. And one of the stories that I came across talked about after they had moved out, a woman who allegedly practiced the arts of witchery.
Dark arts.
Dark
I
arts
believe, is the technical term for that.
I like that. Dark arts. We'll go with that. She moved in knowing that the house did have some activity, but potentially by a demon. She wanted to increase the demon's strength. So she actually put a pentagram into the basement, which was covered up with paint.
So that you found that?
We did.
Ah,
We did see that.
that's-
Supposedly, that is
I
where.
saw that, but you found that info that the owner put that the woman owner.
Well, according to one story, yes. Once again, depending there, the Sallie House has been covered by multiple investigation teams. I mean, literally, probably hundreds of investigations. At least close to 24 television specials have been done on the Sallie House. So there is a lot of different information that is floating around out there. But supposedly, she wanted to strengthen the strength of the demon. So she put a pentagram into the basement where she sacrificed animals on top of that to try to get the demon strength. However, depending on what story you believe, it possibly could have been by ghost investigators that just wanted to interact with the spirit in the house, and they put the pentagram down there. So because of the wide variety of stories that are floating around about, was there a Sallie, was there a demon, was there a witch practicing, was it just ghost investigators, I went into this investigation as a skeptic. I didn't say that to you guys, but I really went in thinking this house is overdone. This house is just hyped up, and while we're here, we're probably not going to catch anything. I could not have been more wrong. Sallie House said, "Hold my beer, let me show you something," the moment I walked in. Because from the time we started doing our intro until the time we left, we had just activity, not constant, but we did have activity throughout the entire evening. And we're going to talk about the activity that we had, but I will say that there's going to be one part towards the end, and I didn't share this with the group at the time, but I talked in depth with our guest investigator, Taylor, about it. The last EVP that we had, we're going to talk about that. The last EVP that we heard, to me, the entire atmosphere inside the house changed. When I walked into that house, I felt fine. I could go room to room. I could go basement to ceiling. It didn't matter. I felt comfortable. Once we got that last EVP, after about 8 hours of investigation, I started getting the sense that something inside the house had changed. I didn't want to be there anymore, which is part of the reason I was asking the group, like, hey, are we good? We got quite a bit of
I
quite a bit
wanted
of
to
things.
stay. We went home way too early, but I also showed up late.
Well, that's what happens when you show up like 4 hours after the rest of the team, because we had a 4-hour head start on you of
I had shit to
trying
do.
to, piss the spirits off. And I will say, we're going to talk about, we did find a way to kind of piss the spirits off by accident, but we did find out a way to get them engaged. So we'll talk about more about that coming up.
And
Awesome.
as a reminder, 3 of us had been in the house before independently. So this is the first time as a team, everybody went as a team minus me. I was busy in New Orleans and the Caribbean. So,
Rub it in.
Yeah.
Rub it in. Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was
Oh.
busy on a cruise and couldn't make it. So
Yeah.
sorry for the rest of you.
You live a rough life.
It's a
bro.
rough one.
You have missed like 3 or 4 of these because you were in another country or another state.
Yeah,
And it wasn't like you were in a shitty state. You were in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So
true.
I don't even want to hear any pity stories out of you.
I know. It's a
Not
hard
missing
life.
anything. So we're doing this new thing where we're actually gonna be putting these on YouTube. So that'll be new. I don't know if doing new things is
Did you
really
say new or nude?
new.
I'm just clarifying. I thought you said doing nude things. I'm just clarifying.
The fuck are you thinking about?
Our
my friend?
listenership is about to skyrocket.
Are you kidding, Nate? Are you volunteering?
So follow us on OnlyFans.
Are
You
you
go to hauntedorigins at
Are there-
OnlyFans.com.
Are there a lot of men on OnlyFans? I've never been on
idea.
OnlyFans.
Never been on
I
It's
just
about to be 3
Oh, you've
more.
been on OnlyFans. You just don't know that you've been on OnlyFans.
I don't like you anymore. Anyways, but yeah, we're gonna share a screen. We're gonna share some videos with you guys. So we'll just kind of get into it. Frank, which one of these would you like to talk to them about first?
I'd like to just go in chronological order. So when we got to the house, we started setting up our equipment, and we just did a quick intro video. And the intro video, we read from the book. So there is a book when you go inside Sallie House, and other investigators will just make quick notes about some of the things that they experienced. Most investigators talked about some of the activity that they had, and some investigators said, hey, we really didn't have anything. And so we start off by reading from the book, and Taylor, our guest investigator, is reading how on the XLS camera up in one of the bedrooms, a group had picked up a 7-foot creature up on the ceiling.
Okay, those I want to talk about this real quick. Those XLS cameras, I have that Ghost Tube or whatever it is on my phone. But literally, like, let me open this thing. Oops. Let me open this thing for you because it is redonkulous. And I'm not buying it because it literally turns my fucking lamp into a ghost. I can't do it.
We did use that at Sallie House, and yes, the cabinet in the corner turned into a stick
Yeah,
figure.
so-
That's kind of our point, is
Yeah.
that on the application on her phone, it's like, oh, here's an XLS camera, but it is not a true
Correct.
XLS camera.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
But I'm glad you pointed that out for people that don't realize it and think they're getting results. It is
Yeah.
not an
So
XLS.
this is GhostTube, and you see on the video, you can't see that very well, but if you want to know what we're talking about, download the app GhostTube. Nothing against y'all who run GhostTube, sorry, but I don't know. It was cool though for picking up an EVP. And it was cool because I could run around and record with it. And it did have a lot of cool features, but the SLS cameras, I can't buy into it, especially if you use your phone.
And that's something we don't know. When the other team talked about
Yeah.
picking up an image on the XLS camera, we don't know what type of technology they were using.
Right.
I wish I did. If
And
if
that's
they
true.
ever hear this, please tell us.
You know, and the way those started was from the Xbox One Connects.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's what
Really?
they originally were. Yeah. So that it requires that spread of IR,
Okay.
and then it picks up whatever's breaking that's IR points, and then it puts them together in a motion.
Doesn't Tesla use that too?
I don't
Like
know.
people were saying that if you drive your Tesla through the cemetery, it can pick up spirits and like it'll hard stop. You didn't hear about
No.
that?
No.
Oh yeah, there's like a whole thing on it. It is a TikTok.
I thought
Yeah,
Tesla used
interesting.
alien technology. I didn't realize they used your technology. So the evening started by reading from the book. Like I said, a group XLS camera. They saw a 7-foot creature up on the ceiling. Another group talked about a technique they used that was able to draw some activity by something with gummies. I wasn't really clear exactly what they were doing with that. Another group said that they had activity from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. After that, it seemed to have dropped off, but very active. Another group said about 2:30 in the morning, they actually were just overcome with the amount of activity they experienced. And at 2:30 in the morning, they felt like they needed to leave.
Why didn't we stay till then?
Because I felt like that group felt at 2:30 in the morning where the place got dark.
Yeah.
And I have watched videos where people
Right.
have gone in Sallie house and they said, "Oh my God, the air is heavy. Oh my God, it's dark." I walked in going, "Okay, bullshit."
That's
am
what I
totally
felt when
fine.
I first went in. I was like, why is everybody in the dark? And Taylor's just standing there like, oh, we've been here for a couple hours.
Well, I don't mean just dark with the lights out. I mean a darkness.
Dark
Yeah.
heaviness.
I
Yeah,
feel
very
you.
ominous. And of course, we turned the lights out when we're investigating. I felt totally fine. It wasn't until after that last EVP that I felt that the ominous darkness came. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of starting to feel what the people felt at that time. And
Mhm.
I was really ready to go at that time. We had been there probably 8 or 9 hours at that point. But we start off by doing an intro video. And during the intro video, Brad hears something behind him, kind of a bump. He makes a mention of it, and it isn't but a few seconds after that that I am doing my intro, and I hear a bump behind me, and we capture it. It's just a quick bump. It could be a number of things, but we did find it, interesting that as we're just getting started, we have this unexplained knock behind us, and we do have that on video. If you'd like to jump to 2 minutes and 15 seconds, is a good place where we have the
Of course. One sec.
fantastic.
That was crawling on the ceiling. They don't say where, but that's something that'll be interesting to see if that catches up. The other thing is that one group claimed that they had some gummies, and every time they opened it, more activity would start to pick up for the sole purpose of the thought is that the spirit is a teenager with the mind of an 8-year-old, so that would fall into that aspect of it. And even to the point that some people have gotten spooked up even yesterday at 2:30 a.m. and decided to call it quits. So
we're going to see what we have in store for us tonight, see if Paranormal Patrol can make it, see how many hours we're going to be able to make it here in the Sallie house. So we started setting up some equipment, but what we're going to do is take you on a quick... Are you hearing that?
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
You're hearing it too?
Yeah. We're already starting to get stuff,
We're already hearing
guys.
noise.
So, what did you guys hear?
Well, I mean, we heard the knock. I mean, it was right over top of Frank giving the intro, and yeah, we both turned at the same time, and Taylor even reacted too.
So behind my shoulder over there, you have a little closet and you have a bathroom. To me, it sounded like it came from the bathroom area. There's simple, somebody just knocked on the wall. This is an old home. It could be explained in other ways. I'm not saying that this is supernatural. I'm just saying that this was definitely odd as we're about to get started. And we just, hear a knock, and Brad had actually heard one just about 30 seconds before that behind
Like
him.
before you started recording.
Yeah,
Or-
and I actually hit Frank to see, hey, did you hear that?
Huh.
So it was the second knock, but this second one was a lot louder.
And I missed this because I wasn't there. So this is my first time seeing that, but I heard it on the video.
Mhm.
And I'll just ask our listeners, go ahead and turn up your stereo. I'm going to play it again. And I want to know if everybody else hears it, because your guys' reactions are so genuine. You look over your shoulder and like, and you're questioning yourself, and you can tell by your reaction, like, did you guys hear that? Like, did
Mhm.
I hear something, or was there something there? So that is definitely in the beginning of your investigation, the first 15 minutes when you're already having things, that's pretty serious.
Yes.
That goes to show that there is something here probably.
Mhm.
So let me just replay that.
That was crawling on the ceiling. They don't state where, but that's something that'll be interesting to see if that catches up. The other thing is that one group claimed that they had some gummies, and every time they opened it, more activity would start to pick up, for the sole purpose of, the thought is that the spirit is a teenager with the mind of an 8-year-old, so that would fall into that aspect of it. And even to the point that some people have gotten spooked up even yesterday at 2:30 a.m. and decided to call it quits. So
We're going to see what we have in store for us tonight, see if Paranormal Patrol can make it, see how many hours we're going to be able to make it here in the Sallie house. So we started setting up some equipment, but what we're going to do is take you on a quick... Are you hearing that?
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
You're hearing it too?
Yeah. We're already starting to get stuff,
We're already hearing
guys.
noise.
I love how pumped you guys got. Even within like the first few minutes, you're like, "Oh, I'm feeling it. I'm ready to go." That's pretty awesome. And even when I got there, I started feeling and hearing and experiencing some of those things. And it wasn't quite the status of our first experience, ever on our maiden voyage, but it's still something. And it just goes to show, like, you have to spend so much time in these dang places to get even a tiny bit. But when you get that tiny bit in the first 15 minutes, friggin' hell
Yeah.
yes. Hell yes.
Yeah.
It
And
gets you pumped.
oh yeah, buddy. And I wasn't even there. And I'm pumped. I'm pumped. And if you check out the awesome ad that Iakona has made for this episode, you will see the outside of this house. It just looks, when you walk by, it's just this cute little cottage looking house. Like, you wouldn't even think anything of it.
And I was really surprised by how many people stop at that house to take
Oh
photos.
my God.
And
Can I just say, pause you right there, because I got frightened by those people. I was like hearing them outside. I'm like, what the fuck is that noise? And there's people.
I think Brad
Like-
scared someone so bad that kid is still running.
Oh
to
my
this
God.
day. We're
That
gonna
was
talk about that.
hilarious.
I think that kid is still running for his life today.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's just go ahead and spill
We'll
the beans.
talk about that.
We're just gonna talk about it now because this is really funny. We're talking about EVPs. Well, Brad and I we're doing an EVP session upstairs. Well, I wasn't doing anything. I was just sitting there like usual. But Brad's running this EVP session, and I'm hearing people outside, and we're looking out the window, and there's this guy that's taking a selfie, and Brad says, "You fuck with him," and I'm like, "Absolutely." And so he bangs on the window while the guy's taking a selfie, and you can't see us up there. He's just like, bam, bam. And he looks up there. He's like, "What the fuck?" It was epic.
Well,
Epic.
we investigate with the lights out, so they probably didn't even know
Right.
we were inside the house at all doing an investigation. So they didn't
That's
know anyone was
awesome.
in there. And
That's
once
fantastic.
I wish I could come across his Facebook and be like, "Hey, man."
Because I waited until he had the phone out, ready to do the selfie.
It was awesome.
And then I just started loading on the window.
It was hilarious. And we were upstairs too, so it's not like we were downstairs.
Oh my God.
It was hilarious. Thank you for that tidbit of entertainment. So back to EVPs. What's our next? You want to go in order? And I'm not good at that because I didn't
Yeah,
organize this file here.
Yeah, so the next EVP, we were in the kitchen and we were trying to spur up some activity. And I'll let Brad talk about this, but Brad is asking the spirits, where should we go?
Yep, that's right. So I believe I was in the kitchen Frank and Taylor were out in the living room watching the cameras, and I was just doing EVP session like I usually do. And during it, I just gave the spirits a chance to let me know where do you want me to go. And like I always do, I do like 2-minute, 3-minute burst, and then I replay. And
I like the way that you do that,
Yes.
Brad, because it allows, because you don't know if you're getting anything
yeah,
Right.
unless you listen to it.
right. Yeah, I always do it.
And what kind of recorder do you use?
I Dolby.
An Adobe?
Yeah.
And you use your phone a lot too,
And
don't
I
you?
use my phone a lot. I've realized through the years that the phone it picks up so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It-
it's so much easier to organize it in the phone.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I love that actually, because it also is affordable. It's an affordable option for people that can't afford a whole bunch of equipment. You already have a phone.
You already
Most of
have it,
us
yeah.
got our mics that hook up to our phones on the TikTok shop for like $6 or something. And they work really well. There's just like, for me, I'm just going to talk about equipment real quick before you get into your EVP. Some of these are picked up. Some of these EVPs are picked up on these devices, and it just plugs into the bottom of your phone. You charge them with a little USB charger, and then it just clips right on your chest. So it's super easy. And each set comes with 2 microphones. So I believe when I was watching you do that, you set one on you, and then you had one in the middle of the table, so you
Yeah.
could have equal noise or whatever. I'm assuming.
Or I'm just trying to pick up an EVP in a different area.
Yeah. Which is smart. You
Yeah.
know, it gives you an additional mic.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. The equipment is so easy to get. So if there's people that want to get into this and you're like, oh, I can't afford it, those $6,
We should do an episode just on equipment.
right?
What equipment we use, things that are on the cheaper end, and then the more expensive equipment
Absolutely.
we have.
Yeah, because people will be surprised to know like we do not have high tech equipment, and we are catching some badass stuff, and it's all from less than $100. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we go into the EVP, and like I said, I was asking, where do you want me to go next? And let's hear what happens.
So I believe you really do have to listen closely to this one. This is an isolated audio.
Tell me which way to go.
You can clearly hear it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there was nothing else around, right? That could have made that noise.
No, I mean I was the only one in the kitchen, and Frank is in another room with Taylor. So no, that was that was crazy. It was similar to the Pythian Castle when we caught Frank. I was shocked, and then I quickly ran out to the living room, and I was like, y'all got to listen to this, because I believe I caught it, and I ran out and I showed them, and it was a good catch.
So Frank, when you heard that, were you ready to actually go up, or were you ready to go out?
We went up. Actually, Blake, that's when I was still in the like, I'm here, I'm pumped, let's
Like-
do this. And so we ran upstairs and started running some sessions upstairs. We didn't get anything while we were up there at that time,
Yeah.
but let's go. Let's
awesome.
do this. Because remember, when we hear these EVPs, we don't hear it live. We don't hear these until we replay them on a recorder. And when you ask a question and get a response, and that was 4 or 5 seconds to get a response.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Yeah.
Something is going on. Something's going on inside that house.
Yeah, and something's trying to talk to you.
Something is trying to talk to
It's
us.
telling you where to go.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what was your next step? Because I don't even know if I was even here yet. I don't even think I was here yet.
So, what we ended up doing is we found out that the Finneys had immigrated from Ireland. So we started blasting some.
I was there for that.
You were there for that. We were blasting some music in the house. I forget the song.
Finnegan's Wake.
Finnegan's
Yeah.
Wake. we're playing
Bob
on-
Reeder plays it. Weston. You remember Weston?
Yeah.
Iakona? Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So there's this and where I got
remember
that
bits and
song.
pieces of Weston.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember you pulling your pants down on the side of the highway. Well, then I got a flat tire.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was a whole vibe. We have a weird relationship. So Finnegan's Wake is a classic Irish song, but Bob Reeder plays in Weston at this little bar called O'Malley's. Have you been there?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I
And that
believe
is,
I have.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
place, cool place. And that's the first place I ever heard that. It's an Irish pub. It's an underground Irish pub. So, yeah, Finnegan's Wake. It's
So
a good
we
song.
pulled it up on our phone and we just blared it just to see if anything would happen. And nothing did. We blared the Irish music, but nothing ended up coming of it. But what we did do is, by complete accident, Brad and Jennifer went upstairs to do some more investigating. Taylor and I were downstairs in the living room, and we had put those crystal balls around the house. And those things had been on the ground for hours and hadn't done anything. We were jumping up and down next to them just to test to see how sensitive they would be. Nothing. So I really just kind of put them out of my mind because we were getting no activity from them. Well, while you two were upstairs, Taylor and I were in the living room. Taylor starts to read from the internet about the history of the Sallie house, and he's reading it aloud. He is maybe just a few minutes talking about the history when those crystal balls start to activate. And I don't mean once, I mean over and over succession.
Yes. Hey,
yeah.
good job.
Secession.
Good job.
Mhm.
Sure.
Thank you. Secession over and over and over again, 4 or 5 times in a row.
I'm
And
gonna need you to
when
refill that.
you're going to need some more wine for this. And so when he gets done reading, that is when the balls actually stop. So we went over to them once again. We jumped around. We tried to activate them. Nothing.
I remember
activated
that.
those things. Yes.
I remember that. I will vouch
Yeah.
that we did stomp next to them. Like literally, I even had to tap them to make sure that they were actually working, and they were
Yes.
working. So you have to touch them. You have to physically touch them
Yes.
to make them.
And
go
the fact that it went off 4 times in a row, 4 or 5 times in a row in succession, one after the other. But that was the only time. For a couple hours prior to that, nothing. And now all of a sudden we're reading the history and those balls are activating. To me, that is something.
But also during this whole time when we were upstairs doing an investigation, you responded to us on the walkie-talkie, and you were telling us, "Hey, the balls are going off." And then right after you got off, me and Jen started doing the EVP session. I said, "Are you making the balls go off?" And it's not a clear EVP, but Jen actually heard something with her.
I did. That's happened to me more than once.
Yeah, she has like cat hearing. I don't know how the hell she did it.
So I was sitting there and I heard, like physically heard, and we've had that before when we were at the
Oregon House.
the Oregon House and the bed and breakfast. I didn't
Yeah.
want to call it the
Yeah.
actual place.
Yeah.
Sorry. So for some reason I hear these whispers in my freaking ears. And at the bed and breakfast, your EVP thing, not your EVP, what the fucking words? EMF. It's too many acronyms.
You're right.
Your EMF reader went off behind me
Yeah.
when I heard the whisper in my ear that time.
Sure did.
And then at the Oregon house, I heard the whisper and we had that EVP. And then at this house, I heard the whisper and Frank was having activity in the basement. So I don't know what it is, but I hear whispers unless if I am mildly schizophrenic. I am not sure. But you asked and I heard, and you went back and listened on the
on your ghost tube.
Yeah, the
app,
ghost
and you-
tube
I
app.
mean, you can hear it.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
not.
faint.
It's just not. It's not strong enough to play for you guys. I don't think the audience would hear, but it was there. It was a really faint. Yeah, you can hear it. Yeah, responding to another question that we're asking.
So when it came to the crystal balls activating, I did capture them on the infrared camera. So I did have the infrared camera recording. I had it pointed in that direction, and you can hear Taylor talking, and then you can see the balls activate. Now, it is not as bright as I would like for it to be. I know what I'm looking for, so I can see the flashes of light on the IR camera, but it is not so noticeable. You have to kind of look for it to see it, but we did actually capture that. So to fast forward a little bit, when Taylor stopped reading, the balls stopped activating, we go on and do some investigations for the next couple of hours. And we're going to talk about some things that happened during that time. But just to fast forward, towards the end of the night, when we're all four of us are gathered in the living room and we're just wanting to stir up some more activity, I had mentioned, I said, well, remember a few hours ago when we started to get these balls to activate was when Taylor was reading the history. Jennifer immediately pulls out her phone. She starts to read the history of the home again. And within minutes, the balls start to activate again.
It was
And
weird.
yeah, and in succession again. I mean, not just one time, but it would 3-4 times in a row. And then it stopped. The only time those things activated was when we were reading the history of the house. We jumped next to them. We checked airflow. Those things sat for hours. The only time they activated when we were reading the history about the potential house maiden that was impregnated by
old Dirty Finney.
by old Dr. Finney. And it was during that second time when Jennifer was reading that we got the EVP that sent chills up and down my spine that wanted me to leave. We'll save that for the end of the episode.
Yeah.
We'll get back to it.
That was something. But you know, when I bought all those cat balls, I wasn't really like, oh, these are really gonna catch everything. But in that circumstance, they really did.
They did.
And I will say we tried to debunk it so many different ways. Like there was a furnace that was kind of loud and pretty strong and old. And there was a vent right there, right? So we went in front of it and actually like held, like the cat ball was right in front of it and it didn't go off. And Frank blew on it and it didn't go off. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we did everything we could to prove that, you know, this really happened.
And the furnace actually wasn't blowing the time that you
Yeah.
were reading. So, and just to let listeners know what we do. So
Doo-doo.
what we
Yeah.
do,
Sorry.
the wine is kicking
I'm
in.
an idiot.
All I can think of is I miss Frank blowing on some balls, and I was on a cruise,
Oh, Jesus.
and you couldn't turn it on.
Oh my
You are
God.
not going to be popular in prison.
Joke's on you, buddy.
My boss is gonna listen.
Wow. I don't even remember where I was going with it. What was I saying at the time? We were talking about
I
blowing on
quit.
balls, and then
I
we got
quit.
distracted.
Give up.
Where was I going with this?
Your guess is as good as mine. I'm not in your head. Thank God.
No, but
We
basically
were-
what was
we were-
happening is Jen was reading the history of this affair, and during this time I'm running an EVP session, and I was running it for at least a good 5 minutes. So then I decided just to cut it, rewind it, review it. She's still reading, and I'm listening to the EVP session, and right when she's talking about the affair, we caught some wild shit.
We did. We will talk about that coming up, because that was the time I was ready to go after we heard that, because the whole house changed. It became very ominous at that point, and I felt the darkness people were talking about, which is, we have gone to the Python, we've gone to the Port Farm, we've gone to the Crescent, we've gone to the Midwestern Hotel. I mean, we have gone to a number of places now. That's the first time I have felt that way.
It gave me the goosebumps.
It did.
I was
did.
actually, when we left, I was concerned about like, am I taking some shit home with me? Am I gonna regret this conversation with the ghost? But it's, I just want to play it. I'm just gonna play it real quick.
Play
but
what?
That EVP.
Not yet. Save
No. Are
You
you
gotta
gonna,
save it
are you
because-
gonna leave right afterwards? Is that why?
it. Save
I
it,
see.
because I think that is probably one of the best pieces of evidence, because we
Yeah.
had other things that happened. So
Gosh, well, do share. Do
I
share.
will. So at one point during the evening, Brad and Taylor were on the steps leading up to the second story, and they were trying to get some activity going. So we had caught wind while we were there that if we put certain items in certain locations of the house, certain things will happen. If you put an 8-ball onto the steps, it'll come down. If you put plates in the kitchen, they'll end up on the floor, those type of things.
So how do we catch wind of that?
once again by the one of number of people that stopped by, and Jen goes, "Oh, let me go outside and talk to this group that's out in front of the house right now."
And the guy says, he says, "Have you guys gone to the basement yet?" And I'm like, but this gentleman apparently runs another venue in town, and they do ghost tours. So he's standing out front of the house with like 20 freaking people. And he's like, "Oh, did you guys do this? Did you guys do that? Did you guys do this?" He was so talkative. Yeah, it was a
Jennifer
whole
wants to
thing.
turn into a fucking meet and greet during
Yeah, I
investigation.
really did. I was almost like, "Do you guys want to come in? You wanna join our space?"
He's the one that actually told us we put items in different places.
We tried it.
We
Yeah,
tried
we
it.
did.
It didn't work. But when we do these investigations, we do try to look for a logical explanation. At one point, Brad was sitting in the living room. He had a big ball that he was kind of rolling back and forth, talking to the spirits, trying to get them engaged. And at one point, the ball did take off from Brad, and it went pretty quick, and then it immediately shot off to the left. And at the time, we were like, holy shit, what was that? We have gone back and watched that video multiple times, and it really looks like the ball actually bounced off of his foot, off of Brad's foot, which caused kind of the erratic behavior. So when we do have these things and we are kind of in the moment of, oh, what was that? We do go back. We try to debunk it. We try to find logical explanations other than everything that we come across as supernatural. So we do have a video of it. Probably more likely just bounce off his foot, which caused the ball to go, kind of crazy. But during this session where Brad and Taylor are sitting on the steps trying to get this 8-ball from the kids' room to go flying down the steps, Jen and I are in the living room watching the NVR cameras. And Brad asked the ghost, "Can you run around up there?" Within seconds, I hear something run across the floor directly above us, which was one of the bedrooms. It was loud. It was distinct. It was 6 or 7 footsteps. It was running. You could hear it start from one end and then end at the other. When Brad says, "Can you run around up there?" About 5-6 seconds later, you hear me say, "Hey, are you guys up in the bedroom? Because something just ran across the floor." Now, unfortunately, we don't have any audio of it. We don't have any video other than my reaction saying, "Hey, something just ran across the floor up there."
No, it's excuse me. Actually, so we do have a little bit of video and a little bit of audio. Because remember when I was taking a look at it to edit it and see what I can do, one of the things I use is Adobe Audition. And so I'm able to see the waveform of the audio. And so I can see a visual representation of the noise going on. And up to that point, I can see when there's environmental noise. I can see your
Okay.
voice because you were actually looking at the DVR system.
Yes.
And so I can see what the normal noise looks like. And right in this point of time where you're talking, the waveform sort of expands and gets wide. You can't hear the running steps clearly, but you can clearly see that the audio changes and it's beginning to pick up more.
That's fantastic.
And then it ends. And then you ask Brad about it. And Brad runs upstairs to go look. And then you can see on the waveform Brad's footsteps as he's moving, coming clearly. So the running was all kind of bunched together. So when we can post that if we wanted to.
Okay.
Just let the viewers or the listeners look for themselves.
Yeah.
Move across the stairs up there.
Somebody running up there?
This is the stereo.
I mean, no, not us, but what did you see?
It sounded like somebody just ran across up there. I distinctly heard footsteps, but like in a run.
The footsteps are a loud stereo. It's like,
That was not a stereo. That was something above us. That was about 5 or 6 steps.
But you can see the difference from the environmental noise to when you heard it to Brad's footsteps. So something did change in that time.
To me, that was one of the best experiences I had that night when Brad asked the ghost to do something, asked the spirit to do something, and within seconds, they literally ran around up there, and it was loud, it was distinct, 6 or 7 footsteps running from one end of the room to the other. We have been around that house for 6 or 7 hours at that point. We're the only ones there. There's nothing else inside that house. No one was upstairs at that time. There is no reasonable explanation for what it is that we heard.
Yeah, and again, because I can see the waveform, I can see where the environmental noise is, and the typical patterns. I can see when a car goes by,
Right.
and of course I can hear it as well. But the waveform just gives me a way to pick it out. And that running, it doesn't match anything that I had seen up to that point.
Man, that's fantastic.
And then it ends shortly after. So
Yeah, another cool thing about that whole experience was I was on the stairs with Taylor, and I was looking up, and I react to something breaking light, like something runs past the stairwell, and that was around the same time as you saying you heard something too. Like this was all happening in the same time, so it was when I'm seeing something, I'm looking up, and then I kind of say, ask Taylor, did he hear it? You're reacting to like, hey, are you running up there? And it was all around that same time, which was, really cool to be able to piece it together.
very cool.
Yeah, and I will say,
Sorry.
I love. Yeah. Thanks, Jen. The wine is really kicking in for Jen. My God.
We also had Grinchmas margaritas before this.
And I
so
spilled it all over the fucking floor.
and that's part of the thing though, is when you investigate, you have to take everything that happened, not just you take each individual, but when you start getting one after another after another, it lends credibility to the previous.
Yes. Yes. And I was going to say, I love investigating with Brad. Iakona, I cannot wait for you to come back out with us again, because when I say, hey, are you guys running up there? Brad's like, why? What's going on? Well, I hear footsteps. I think it was almost immediately Brad is already running to that area to go, what's going on? I want to go see. He is the one that if there is something going on, he is already headed that way, full speed. If there's a spirit there, we're going to pass in the hallway. Because I'm headed that way. And I bet Brad is waiting for Iakona to come back, because Iakona is the exact same way. They're like, Frank, go up there. I'm like, hey, I'm watching the cameras. I'm good. I'm down here. I'm in the safe zone watching the cameras. You guys go.
As long as I'm not the last one in line, I'm okay. So
okay, so that actually was fun. I got to mention this. We're doing EVPs. Nothing is happening. I mean, not even a feeling, nothing weird. We're down there for 20 minutes or so, and we're like, let's go. I mentioned to Taylor, I say, hey, we have to let Jennifer go first. And Jennifer's like, I'm good. I can go last. I'm like, okay, Jennifer, you can go last then. So, of course, Jennifer, we barely get halfway up the steps. She's like, can you guys fucking walk any faster, please?
a bunch of sloths. I mean, how fucking slow can you walk up the
She had 4 seconds of braveness where she's like, can you guys move any fucking faster, please?
I was up here.
Sorry, Jen. The demon behind you is holding us down.
I guess. I was like, something's going to grab me. It's going to happen. This is where it's going to happen. This is the fucking place. Why? Why did I go last? Yeah. No.
So the cream of the crop, what gave myself, and I know Taylor, chills up and down our spines, what changed the entire mood of the house, very ominous feeling came, very darkness. I really felt like something was coming. Let's talk about that final EVP. Now, once again, the 4 of us are in the living room. We're trying to spur up some more activity. I mentioned we got some activity with the crystal balls when we were talking about the history of the house. Jen, without hesitation, pulls out her phone, starts reading the history, and like clockwork, I couldn't believe it. The crystal balls start to activate again. Brad, in his wisdom, starts to record that with his digital recorder. I wasn't even aware that he was doing that. He starts to play it back as Jen is still reading, and we capture a voice that is actually trying to talk over Jen. We're going to go ahead and play it for you and see what you think. We're going to tell you what we hear. You listen to it for yourself. And remember, we don't hear it live. We didn't hear this until we played it back.
I've never heard the one about an extramarital affair.
So if you listen closely, that EVP came through very quickly. So I'm going to ask Brad if you could play that one more time. Listen very closely as I'm talking. And what I'm talking about is an extramarital affair. Listen very closely to the audio
behind
my voice.
I never heard the one about an extramarital affair.
So that gives me goosebumps to this moment. So I don't know what everybody else hears, but none of us heard that in person. And what we were referring to is another story that we found regarding Dr. Finney.
Yeah. So I found it here on usghostadventures.com. And it's interesting because with all the research I did, I've never found a reference to this until you guys brought it up. So this is interesting to me and something I kind of want to look into more. But this particular site, and I've seen it on a couple, but this is probably one of the more verbose ones I've seen, says there's two versions of the Sallie story. The first one is the one we all know, where the mother brought her with appendicitis to the house. He performed an operation. She dies. The second version of the story is that, and I'll just read it. In the other version, Sallie was born as a result of an affair that Dr. Finney was having. When the little girl became ill, her mother brought her to Finney since he would not allow her to go to the hospital for fear that his extramarital affairs would be exposed. Instead, he performed her emergency surgery himself. While the story can't be confirmed, it's no legend that the home has seen its fair share of dark events. So according to this, Sallie would be his daughter.
Okay. So
Well,
it makes me wonder what was telling us that message. Play this again for us. Are you able
I never
to
heard the one about an extramarital.
Are you able to back it up just a little bit?
Sounds like a female voice to me.
It sounds like a female voice to me that says, "I said stop."
and you're the only female in the house.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's saying wanting me to stop talking about it
That's you
or
ask my opinion. That's what I think. I think it's wanting you to stop talking about the fair. That's what I take from listening to it,
Yeah.
knowing what we were talking about. Let's just listen to it again.
it's just
So, Jen's talking about the affair, and this is popping up right behind.
I never heard the one about an extramarital affair.
it says stop.
Yeah.
I said stop. And there's no way that that is anything other than what it is, because that is the Virgin recording, because we used a phone to record that. And there was nothing else in there. It was just me talking. And we were just BSing about the extra stories. And this isn't audio that we listened to after we left. This is audio we listened to while we were sitting there. And it's just crazy, because had we have left without listening to that, we would have thought like we got nothing.
Mhm.
And you know, that, and again, I'm amazed. This is the first time hearing of this, but honestly, that story makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's true, I don't know. You know, because of course the Pickmans were expecting their first child when they had their incidents. So could it be they're getting stories mixed up? Who knows? But that story makes the most sense combined with that EVP telling Jen, you know, I said stop.
Yeah, tell me to shut the
I
hell up.
mean, right, right.
Like, okay, no problem.
It makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
if it's true. You know, I just time to dig into more research, I guess.
Such a creepy freaking thing.
But a
Like,
lot of time, your evidence doesn't really come into the full picture until you just think about the whole night. You put everything together. What were we doing? What were we
Mhm.
talking about? I mean, this happens to me all the time. Like things I catch don't make sense until later on we start talking and we're like, well, you were doing this, we were talking about that. So this is exactly that
Mhm.
same situation. She was talking about a fair. Obviously, fairs are it's a touchy subject. Nobody wants to listen to their own affair. So let's just go from it at that lens. Somebody's listening to you talk about their affair. It's
Right.
probably touchy, you know.
And every time that the history of the house was talked about, those lights went off. Like they were
Reacting to something.
reacting, whether it be them trying to get us to stop digging because there's one story, but then there's a second story. You know, I don't
You know,
know.
it could. Here's another take on it, and it just dawned on me because doing the notes. We know that Dr. Finney's mom lived in that house. That was actually her house. So could it be? God, I sound like what the hell is that? Ancient Aliens? Could it be? But could it be that the story's not true, and maybe that's his mom who's tired of his name being used in slander, having killed this girl?
Oh, yeah.
Could be his mom did pass away in the house, I believe.
Yes.
Maybe maybe she's the one haunting the place,
Right.
annoyed that they're trashing her son's.
Nonstop. Now, he did a lot to ruin his own reputation. You know, the cross-dressing, the alcoholism.
Okay, so can we also note that this is yet one more location we went to that had a tie to that society?
Oh, it wasn't tied directly to the Oddfellows.
Yeah.
It was the Oddfellows Lodge is just a little down the street.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I probably misled you when I said, because I was on this Oddfellows kick and it's right down the street. And I think it was close to his office too.
It just seems like everything has 6 degrees of separation.
Yes, you're right.
It really does.
Especially where we investigate the Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas area. Oddfellows is big in that area. It's a lot of links.
Yes.
To the paranormal with the Oddfellows.
Yeah, I mean, for God's sakes, they worship corpses. So, and that's pulling it super mildly, you know, not necessarily worship, but they use corpses in their rituals.
Who doesn't?
What you do at home has nothing to do with anything here.
Once again, this episode may have content that's unsuitable for all audiences.
We totally forgot to give a disclaimer. Totally forgot the disclaimer at the beginning of this.
Oops.
We'll do better.
Yeah, the EVP, after that EVP, in my opinion, the house changed. Yeah. Things got dark. The only time you were there about 4 or 5 hours, you brought those crystals with you. The only time they activated is when we read the history. Literally the only time.
The REM pod did go off once.
The REM pod went off once. Yes, I forgot about that. When we were playing the Irish music, the REM pod went off one time and only one time, and it's while we were playing the Irish music. That was it. One time.
You know, I really want to go back now and try to directly address Kate, to his mom.
Right.
Maybe that's her.
I'll set up the surveillance van out on the street and you go inside. I went in a skeptic. I left going, holy shit, I was wrong. There's something going on inside that house. I don't know what yet, but there's definitely strong activity inside that house.
Fantastic. I'm so jealous. When you guys were doing it, you know, of course, I'm texting you guys, seeing how it's going. And then it sounded weird because we normally stayed, 2, 3 later in the morning. And it was whatever time it was, and it sounded like you guys were done. And I think I texted you, Jenny. I was like, did you guys go home?
Yeah, everybody left.
And
I wasn't quite ready to go, but everybody was out. So I was like, oh, fuck it, whatever.
I was very disappointed in you all from the bar on the ship.
Well, you just started so early. So
from the bar? Well, I have a drink package. Of course I started early.
Idiot.
Well, we were probably 8 or 9 hours into the investigation at that point.
Yeah.
And it is.
Well, we all kind of curled up and stayed the night.
It is. Some people did.
Yeah.
I mean, some investigators did sleep, and they said they had the best sleep they've ever had. Sleeping.
I
in the
did
Sallie
read
house.
that in the book.
Yeah.
There is a really cool book there on site that shares a lot of other people's experiences, which I enjoyed reading through.
Yeah. No, it's good.
So.
Yeah.
I left a note.
Yeah. Actually, I think you left our sticker behind too.
Yes,
so
I
fantastic.
So enjoy.
So Sallie House, definitely a great investigation.
Yeah, definitely win.
Did not disappoint.
I know we did an episode on Sallie House season 1, and it was about your guys' personal experiences before this. I had never been.
Now you're part of the cool club.
I know. I feel like I should have got my own special pen. I'm no longer a Sallie House person.
Well, if you feel like you were not there long enough, you are more than welcome to go back and investigate solo. Let us know what you find.
Jen and I will go.
Hard pass. Yeah. We're about to do another one solo because somebody doesn't want to go.
Right.
So
somebody's poor.
Yeah.
I'd have bought your ticket for you.
Huh?
I'd have bought your ticket for you.
I won't because I really don't have that money.
Well, I still owe you the money for the ticket.
Yeah, you do.
Give me the money you owe her, and then I can go.
No, we won't talk about that.
We do have some great things coming up for season 2. Though.
We do.
We have
Season
some really
2.
good.
The next episode that we have, thank you again for joining us on this adventure. This is a wild ride. But our next episode should be about our secondary adventure at the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs. We have been talking about this since last March, the lockdown, where we will be locked into this building overnight
Just a handful of us.
with no power.
Yes.
So it is a limited attendance event. There will be nobody staying on property. They essentially just shut everything off and let us go to town.
Which is really nice because that'll eliminate a lot of the random EMFs we were
Mhm.
getting, the noises.
And can you guess what room I'm going to first?
Michael's room.
Norman Baker's.
Norman
No, I don't
Baker.
want to get molested.
Yeah.
Since when
I
you don't
wanna-
want to be molested?
Hey, don't talk about my private life. But seriously, I wanna see if we
I'm there
can't
with you.
catch that again.
Yeah, I'm there.
I want to spend some time up there and see if we can't catch that spirit again,
I'm
because that
absolutely
shit
there
was
with
real.
you.
And Brad, you're welcome to join us. I think there's still tickets left. The way that this works is that they are letting us stay at their sister hotel. They give us transportation,
Which is also supposed to be
yes,
haunted.
yes. And they give us transportation over to the other hotel for an on-site adventure. Unfortunately, some of the people we were hoping were going to join us are not going to join us. But
Yes.
please listen to that episode, because the last time we were there, man, it was kick ass. And we'll try to do some Insta Live while we're there. TikTok may not exist at that point in time. We don't know.
True.
We're just going with the flow.
And then on top of that, we have the interview with
Yes.
the Shaws for their UFO book and series they have out now.
I got nothing on UFOs, but I can't wait.
I know that'll be
I
interesting.
can't
We
wait.
have a whole bunch of stuff.
We have a eclectic group of people
Yes.
coming on.
The funeral home, I'm stoked about. We
The
get to do the
funeral home?
investigation
Yep.
at the
Are we
funeral home.
are we doing that?
It's still in talks. We're trying to get that set up for the
Uh,
funeral home.
Mike and Leah want to still do the McIntyre again with just us.
That'd be awesome.
And then there's the Garnett house and another house they were talking about in Abilene.
And we're also going to go back to the Port Farm
Yes.
With our priestess.
with the priestess Nicolette. So the coolest thing has been like being able to drag with us some of the people that we've met and became friends with.
And we're still wanting to do the hypnosis while we're in one of these places to see if we can encourage some communication.
Brad, are you game?
That sounds like a really dangerous game to play, but we also have a priestess
If
on
we
our
have
side.
Nicolette,
Yeah.
and could you imagine having Nicolette and Tiffany there at the same time? Ooh.
If-
Those
when
are two wildly different personalities.
Have you seen the Ghostbusters with it's just all female cast?
No.
Oh my God. When she's trying to exorcise the spirit out of her friend, and she's like, by the power of pain, I compelled you. And she starts slapping the shit out of her.
Is this like a dirty movie?
No,
or-
it literally, it came out several years ago. A lot of people hated it. I loved it. But that's how when I picture Nicolette doing an exorcism or
That's
something,
her.
that's
She's
how
just
I pictured
whacking
it.
them
Yeah.
with some.
I say it,
with
get the
some
fuck
lettuce.
out, boy.
I love that girl.
Yeah, she's a riot.
Amazing. Well, thanks guys for making this drive out here for this and not having a curfew, and thank you to everybody's significant others.
Yes.
My husband doesn't even listen to our podcast. Can I just share that? He's like, I hear enough of you in my real life. I don't need to listen to you on my radio. And I'm like, baby, that's facts. That's okay. Thank you.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, fuck it.
There's
Whatever.
nothing wrong
He's a rock star though. Without him, we wouldn't be here. So
That's true.
can I just close this out, bitches?
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, with a toast to the ghost.
Cheers.
And remember, visit us at hauntedorigins.com.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.